Okay, Marty is supposed to be greeting. Hello, Marty, greet.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Marty and Tabby show. And today we just gonna go straight in and honoring those who have paved the way for us,
All right.
unsung as well as sung, our heroes and sheroes.
All right, I like that. You said
Yes,
unsung and sung, so we're gonna sing some people today or not? Cause
yes, I'm seeing they praise.
well, you know what? I need you to go ahead and start talking about the unsung, because you know I love when we have some unsung heroes amongst us. Some people that don't know that they're the legends they are, or do
Right,
know it and don't care about telling everybody else because they still doing the work. Hallelujah.
exactly. So, just our community along. When you delve into the history of East St. Louis have some powerhouse people, known
Yes.
as well as known and unknown. We have a little slogan called "City of Champions," and
Yeah.
I would like to add "City of Scholars." Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're not only athletes, we're scholars, and we
Okay.
came from this same, as they say, rundown community, but we were rich. Our community, our elders were rich, and everything that I'm talking about me growing up, everything that I saw, heard, or felt, the community centered around the young people. And so we know we have these neighbors. We got the bougie neighbors. We got the neighbors who was hood. We got the neighbors who fought all the time. We had the Christian. And they made up our community. And those people deserve their props. Now that we see this country intentionally telling us we can't learn our history, their legacy shall live on through us. It's not an option. We didn't get here just by happenstance. We got here
Mm-hmm.
because they invested in us. They saw a future. And like I
Right.
said, known and unknown, but it's those unknowns, that drop them little $2 and $3 in your hand at church. You know what I'm saying? Those people, we can't forget. How you feel?
I feel good. So, who comes to mind as you think about those jewels and
Oh
those
my
great people?
God. First of all, my Marion Caradine, Donald Williams, my
Okay.
grandmother, Minnie Williams. We talk about her, and she probably couldn't even say the word entrepreneur, but she would bake cakes, she would do hair,
Uh
she would
huh.
cook Sunday dinner and sell them. And no her was ever in the food. You know what I'm saying? How did those people do that?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
So
like,
you
and
telling me she had all them skills that made money?
exactly, exactly.
Mm.
But I think without the communication, we didn't. Well, I can speak for me. I didn't really value it. But as
Mm-hmm.
as I'm who I am today, and looking back on it, I was like, she was tough. She stayed on the fish bank, going fishing, and when I would visit, she over there cleaning fish. You know what I'm saying? And it was like those skills.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're gonna end up getting back to those. So,
Well,
but
I mean, and that's what we need to be getting back to, because otherwise AI taking over everything else.
okay,
All right, but I don't see them baking cakes no time soon, and all the skills that you say your grandmother possessed. And those are just basic life skills that a lot of our young people, I'm sorry to say, do not have it, because I'm gonna put it on our generation. Generation X didn't pass it down. We may
right,
have gotten in, we might have sat on the skills, but we definitely didn't pass it down to our children the way that
yep,
they needed it passed down. And now it's a deficit as it relates to our skilled people, and so therefore we're in a worse condition as a people than we ever were, to be honest, because we were more equipped with our human capital, and we don't
right,
have that human capital like that no more, because we've been kind of forced, I won't even say encouraged, but forced to be that working generation, and we're just kind of doing things, and it is what it is. So,
mm-hmm.
but to mention some people, some great people that are no longer with me. Um, maybe not necessarily blood related, but I've had a lot of great women in my life,
Yeah.
and so I've had a lot of people that I call mama, because like
Hmm.
I was on my own at 15, running house. I already had a couple kids at that time,
Sure.
and obviously I had a different life, whereas others were in high school. I was being an adult with the other adults, which were usually around in their 30s.
Uh-huh.
And they showed me a lot of things, and there was some even older that really grasped to me. And I just think about one that is very important to me, and I just kind of got up and cried the other day, is Liz. This is my kid's grandmother also, but wise
Uh-huh.
beyond her years, just been able to just teach me everything, and just just doing whatever she can for any and everyone quietly, not
Uh-huh.
making a whole lot. Now she would be the one if you needed a ride somewhere, because we all needed a ride at one point. If you need a
Right.
ride somewhere, she never took no highways, but believe
Mhm.
me, she was coming. She knew every girl. She knew every back street it was. So, like a trip from just say Cahokia to Belleville, downtown Belleville, might take an hour and a half. Oh, she had to
Oh
stop at
wow.
everybody's house on the way, because she had errands that she was doing for everyone. So, if they're
Uh-huh.
in her route, you're gonna probably be riding for about 3 hours, but you're gonna get there.
Right. Eventually.
But the level of wisdom that she implied in me for
Right.
everyday life, because I've been a nerd forever, so I know stuff, but I didn't know the common sense, the everyday life things that she was really able to pour into me at such a young age, and understanding I was a young mother and I was trying. But the difference with me and a lot of the other young people were, I had an open mind and I was wanting to
Okay.
receive it. I didn't want to look at her, because a lot of times we have our older people and they look like, oh no, nosy, oh I don't want this, and
Mhm.
no, please be nosy, please be in my business, please tell me what I'm doing wrong so I can do it right, because I didn't want to just not raise no kids, if that makes sense. I knew I didn't know much about it, and I knew she
Right.
did, and so I took, even though it hurt sometimes, some of the criticism she gave me, I later understood that it was still necessary, and I
Mhm.
appreciate that, because it created a different style of young mother that I was, that I'm still proud of today, because it also made me a great auntie as well. So I ain't gonna talk a whole lot, but that's one of the people. So I'm back to you. Who are you remembering?
Um, Basically, well, kind of like what you're saying. I have this love affair with the story about Mary and Elizabeth in the Bible. And
Mm.
Elizabeth was basically like your much more, like you said, Elizabeth, uh, affluent women, well socialized, or whatever you want to call it. But here it is, Mary, ghetto, walking around with a bonnet, but she walking around with Jesus inside of her. So it took her to be with her cousin, like, girl, let me tell you what's in you. Sit down, let me talk. You know what I'm saying? And we really, really gotten away from that relationship. The older women who have been basically exposed. Not everything is a fee. You know what I'm saying? That's not who we are. That's not how we've got to this point. But just like you're talking about the women, be it church, my educators, schools,
Mm-hmm.
if they all had a powerful investment in who I have become,
Mm-hmm.
and I am conscious as an educator to do the same in my classroom. We're not supposed to hug. We're not supposed to, give them a peck on a forehead or whatever I do. These are children. They're mine, and they're not going to be violated. They're not going to be disrespected. And I do. You know what I'm saying? My teachers did it for me. You know what I'm saying? Women at church did it for me. And we were good with it, And so that relationship, just every encounter to me, you know what I'm saying? If they was just, I can grow up, I can recall like 4 or 5 different women who were, now looking back on it, they was actually streetwalkers, but they were respected still in the community. I don't care if they was alcoholics. My dad taught me to respect them. And they would even say, that's rent daughter. You know what I'm saying? You do whatever you want, but I know her. But that was respect. You know what I'm saying? They were still somebody. They were just drunk.
They were also gatekeepers, and that's what people don't
you
understand.
know?
They knew more about what was going on in the
Yeah,
community and more people in the community than anyone, honestly, because they were out there. A
yeah.
lot of times we often just live in the community. We're in our houses, don't have a clue what's going on outside of. Am
They're
I right?
literally in the community. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. You're
And
right.
so you got to appreciate everyone in the community and their contributions, because they're also eyes of the community. Without them being outside,
Mhm.
who's to say what's going on out there if we're always all inside? And so I learned that, organizing and stuff and meeting people, and I'm like, oh, okay, shoot, you're more valuable than
Mhm.
the people that I see all over the headlines. Like, you
That
know
part.
more, and
Exactly.
these people get millions of dollars, and you not getting nothing. You out here invested, like, really?
Uh-huh.
And
Uh,
so, yeah,
hand waving.
right, right.
Keep it in check.
So,
If it ain't for the greater good, I'm good.
and I've ran across a lot of the what I call the name brand people in the community, and I think that they all mean well when they're doing making efforts and stuff, but some that just want to be seen. Um,
Yeah.
So, one of the people that I came across that I have to mention that's no longer with us, and I probably seen it when I first decided to go back to college after being a dropout and all that other good stuff, and my
Uh-huh.
child entered kindergarten, the last one entered kindergarten. I was like, I'm going back to school. Well, God told me. I be telling people, God be telling me these things, and people like, well, quit saying God said, but I don't really know how to say it no other way, because God be giving me all type of directions. My life is not my own, and people need to really realize that when we are living for God, we are
Uh-huh.
vessels. And so, all that to say, I went back to school. And the first person that I caught wind to was Darlene Roy. That was a Eugene be rep
Yeah.
miss. But I used to just I looked at her and I used to see, like, she just was so, it was she was regular to me, but sophisticated at the same time, but approachable. And
Uh-huh.
I used to always say, oh, I want to be like her. Like, she didn't come off bougie. Although
Right.
her voice sounded
She did.
so okay, so Darlene, right? Like, so yeah, so okay, so that was my first impression of her, um, coming as a non-traditional student down there at
Uh-huh.
the East St. Louis College, and she was one of the presenters at that workshop, and she was just
Uh-huh.
one of the black women that I was just like, whoa. And then later on, getting to know her and just seeing her, I was just like, okay, she the real deal. So I got to shout out Darlene. And then it's funny how small East St. Louis is, because I met Troy, her son, through Charmaine, had no clue he was her son.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow, it's a small world, but both of them are great people. Well, great people.
Right.
But that's one of the people I wanted to shout out. So who else you got? Who you want to shout out?
I'd like to shout out Eldrina Jones. This young lady, she came to East St. Louis, I guess job related. And this was before I went to EIU. And she I guess I just got so frustrated that Sunday in church, and I stormed out of church. You know me, I can be very nasty at times. Shut up. And so she came out, and girl, she had the audacity to touch me. I was like, girl, don't touch me. You don't even know me. But she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, I don't know you. And then, maybe 2 Sundays after that, we got to talk, because she was just determined to get to know me. And then so she was like, well, what's going on? I said, well, I got a scholarship to EIU, and I need this, I need that, and I ain't got no money. Girl, she the one gave me the Showing Mary book. And she was like, okay. I was like, well, you ain't got to do nothing. I don't even know you. She said, what does knowing me have to do with anything? And after that, boom, it was history. And I was like, oh, you would never know, flaunted it. She never nothing. And her mom came here and she was like, you take good care of her. And at the time, I just had Bryce and my son. And she was like, "You take good care of her." And I mean, she did it, And I will never forget. She asked me, "What are you doing with all the seeds that I invested in you?" I never ever will forget that. And I'm like, "Well, I'm out here advocating and fighting for justice, because I I think in my head I wanted to do what she did for me, every student. And now I'm realizing that's just impossible and I can't do it. Now, how do I break free from seeing the hurt and the pain? You know what I'm saying? So, but after she dropped that question to me, I'm like, well, I'm still doing what God have for me to do. What is that? I don't know. But her whole life was just a blessing to me. And I just decided to come back and give back my way to other young children. You know what I'm saying? So if anything, let them know that somebody believe in them and that they can do and be whatever. So her what Lois Jean Moore was someone who always had a dang on camera. You hear me? A camera. And she always wanted to somebody to say cheese. I don't want to. I don't like cameras and I don't take pictures. But looking back on it, I see, flipping through, what I'm saying, those memories that you just capture at that second. Now that she's not here, you just want her to come ask you or bug you for that one picture or take it anyway. That was her. So, I mean, like I said, the amount of people, Mama Nick she had a beauty, what you call it? A beauty school?
Okay. Yeah.
She,
Cosmetology.
okay. She was a beautician and her shop was in Washington Park out of her house. But when you go to Mama Nick's house, it was more than just hair being done. She was feeding you. And I could not show up without the two girls because for some reason they always think they was not fed. I feed my kids, but those women were just awesome. You know what I'm saying? And I love their investments in me. They words of wisdom, they prayers.
Okay.
All right.
Um, so somebody come to mind, not necessarily a woman, because I have many male friends, just platonic male friends, and Larry Spencer. He's no longer with us, but Larry, I met at a Catherine Dunham event, and
Mm-hmm.
he had created a little portrait of Catherine Dunham in his own style of what he called mouse paintings, something that he did, but just extremely intelligent man, but just artistic beyond his years. Like, I mean, just everything that we did together was just amazing. Our conversations and that now as I look for, graphic artists, I mean, there are some great ones, don't get me wrong, but it was just something about Spencer that when you saw any of his work, you automatically knew it was his work, and he had so many other ideals and things that he was working on manifesting and all of that. And that's one of the things I regret, because I wasn't actually my right self when I first got here. So I took for granted that I was going to have time to spend with him. Didn't know he was on borrowed time. And so I missed the opportunity of time that I could have been spending with him before he got out of here that I didn't do. But Larry Spencer, dynamic East St. Louis artist, not sung enough. I helped unsung him with the unsung heroes, because he's one of the unsung heroes, original ones. But outside of that, I don't think the world even know the contribution, because he had stuff online and he was selling, like, he had, like, for instance, his artwork, how you can have that drop and shift stuff, so you don't know what stuff look like if you don't buy it. So he had a lot of stuff out there that people use his design and bought things that he never even really seen what they look like with his design on it, because he was just selling the design. So I just can imagine how much of the world has Larry Spencer stuff and probably don't even know it. Like,
Right. Let me see. I can talk about clergy. Uh, Pastor John H. Rouse,
uh-huh.
Pastor Garfield Hubbard Sr., Pastor Norma E. Owens Sr., Pastor Lemons, M. L. I think it's M. L. Lemons, Pastor Myron Taylor. These men uh, were just true leaders within the community. One, they lived in the community. That's always a plus because you're going to make sure it's ran the way it should be. I saw godly men,
What church affiliations are those different men? Did they come out of one church or?
all different churches. They were different pastors.
Okay.
And Lawrence Ship was New Bethel. Garfield Hubbard was Morning Star. Pastor Lemons was Pilgrim. Pastor Normie Owens was Mount Macedonia. And it's
Mm-hmm.
plenty more others, but that cohort group of ministers understood the assignment. Did
Mm-hmm.
they preach in the community, live in the community, but they took care of their people within the community. And church have always been church to me. Church and the library have always been the central part of the community, and the library should be where we all can congregate, where we're meeting each other. You know what I'm saying? And church, not only spiritual growth, but whatever else we need to grow. And that's what they
Right.
did. That's what they symbolized to me. It wasn't, the dollar or, we can't help you with bills and stuff like that. They helped. And that's why their churches were flourishing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because more than just we're going to pray on it. While you praying, I'm being evicted. I don't want your prayers. I need my rent paid. And they would.
Right.
And it wasn't
So
an issue. Go ahead.
right. Well, the kind of switch now to make sure that we hit on both.
Sure.
We named a lot of ancestors and people that's not here. So can we identify who took their roles? Because obviously their roles were very important and they were needed and probably should be continued. So is there some people that we know currently or that are successors to all those greats?
No.
So all these great people did what they did and they didn't leave nobody behind to keep it going.
The reason I say no is because when I step outside my door, it don't reflect them.
How so?
With the poverty, with the ignorance of our young people. You know what I'm saying? Our They had a whole lot of professionals inside of their congregation. I don't think we had this level of unemployment. You know what I'm saying? So just looking at the crime and all of that, we had crime in East St. Louis, but nothing to this level.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to church for? I mean, what are you preaching? Because clearly we don't see it manifesting in our community. Now, our community have a lot of churches. I just see
Mm-hmm.
something different, especially when you're dealing with the young people. I mean, because they are the future. I think personally they should be in their pulpits every Sunday discussing the fact that we're losing our future because every child that's gunned down is our future. You know what I'm saying?
So
So,
you're telling me all
no,
those churches in East St. Louis, and it's a little over 100, if not more, um, they all have a charge that should be geared towards some kind of youth initiative
yeah.
coming out of their church to help improve the community.
If not the church, inside the community, we had the boys club. We got money today, but what are you choosing to do with it? I mean,
Well, do you think that the churches feel like that need is being serviced through so many community organizations that have joined into the community? Could it be that?
if we're seeing people like lay on benches on State Street, that should be a resounding, we're not doing something right collectively. Even with all the different nonprofits and social services, we should not be seeing what we're seeing.
I'm gonna say something that cuss at me. So you think it should be like Trump is sending in the National Guards to DC? You think
If
because
it,
that's what he that sounds like something he said that nobody should be on the front streets of DC. You should see all that going on. So you call him in and he's saying
if that would stop the crime, because clearly those that are in these positions not doing it.
so
So
you
it
want to
is what
let
it
him
is.
you support him overhauling the local police to come in and clear up whatever issues is going on with the federal, like you're gonna just the
Yeah,
reserves is.
why not? Why not? I mean, what they doing? I'm looking at kids. I'm looking at kids fall to the street. Now, if you're gonna get the funding, do right by the funding. Something should be in place for our children, and not when it gets so around election time and dumb stuff like that.
So in essence, you're saying whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
You're open for new ideas because whatever it takes is.
It's not. This isn't working.
And it hasn't been working probably throughout your whole lifetime, or do you remember a time when it was working? Because it sounded like you did
Yeah.
remember. So,
Yes, I
how long
remember.
has the decline been in your recognition of
I would
understanding?
say I started paying attention to the decline in probably 2000. And 2000 is when the shift of teachers changed. 2000 is when the influx of our young people who went to school that didn't know history start committing suicide. 2000 was when Teach for America started infiltrating. So let's connect all those dots. And then, like I said, they no longer live in our community. The pastors today, they don't live in East St. Louis. I mean, the bulk of them don't. I actually don't know of any. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean they don't. I just don't know of them. But
So,
if they
if
did,
what you're
I was gonna say if they did, something different would change. If you lived in East St. Louis and your children were in 189 and you were of a particular uh status, things will be different. I mean, it's common sense, right?
so
So,
you're telling me you just hit a little buzzer in my head. So you
mhm.
telling me our last 50 years of what they say is progression because I know now, born in 1978, that things started getting better around 1975. So we supposed to had a stretch of about 50 years of progression beyond that. And so you're saying that you've seen the digression happen in 2000 as it relates to East St. Louis anyway, because East St.
Right.
Louis was unique in itself when it comes to 1975 to 2000 and the control that the black people had and blah, 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 blah
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
time, unlike some other cities who's just now maybe getting some kind of freedoms to control as it relates to
mhm,
politics and all of that. And so the removal, well, not the removal, but the I guess the so black teachers was a source at one point, and
oh
then
my God.
the decline of black teachers.
Mhm,
Also, you saw the neighborhoods declining as well.
correct. Because
Or
they started
was it the
moving.
school first? Like, was it
Mhm.
intertwined?
I would say I always do the whole pre pre Brown versus the Board of Education versus post. And so after post, what was that? 54.
Hmm.
So, but they ended up weeding out the black teachers when we were segregated. When we had our
Hmm.
black teachers, when we lived amongst each other,
Hmm.
who was building everything, who was inventing everything in the same rundown schools during the times of lynching. Our educators had a high level of standards and expectations from their students, and they had a zero excuse policy. You know, because I mean, they know from whence we've come.
Hmm.
So, yeah, when they opened the floodgate, and said, y'all welcome on this side. They left. Not only that, they lost their jobs and then they left. And then they told their kids, you know what I'm saying, for those few who were left behind, get your education and get out. Get out for what? And go where? And now look at our communities. So
So basically, get yours, and then keep,
yeah.
and
And
don't
that's
pay
what
it
we want
forward. Don't reach back. Just get out and be happy you out. Basically.
to forget the community. No longer, we don't have to worry about the community no more. And now look at us. Um, James Baldwin says the children are always ours, no matter where they are. They're ours, and we will either suffer for or enjoy whatever they're becoming. And right now, we're at the suffer from stage because now we just raised a generation that do not care about anything or anybody,
But
and they
we
feel.
didn't we didn't raise them to study self approve either. Like that's the
Mhm,
gap that I'm seeing. So the fact that we know all these great people, especially being from East St. Louis, because honestly, as I explore the world of America, that's all I've been. I haven't left this country yet. I'm not sure about that, um,
mhm,
but as I explore the country in the different communities, I can't help but see that East St. Louis will have you have your view a little warped
yeah,
because of the black excellence that is in such an abundance as it
right.
relates to being in East St. Louis and living in East St. Louis in life, despite the deprivation and the
Yeah,
poverty that
mhm,
exists within the community, there is a wealth of human capital amongst the people, creativity and everything else as you relate to anything that you apply to Black excellence. And
right.
so, understanding that, I'm then just wondering, okay, so the fact that we don't have successors to those Black excellent people, and that we see now it's a decline of Black excellence, especially as our generations grow up, and we're seeing,
Mhm,
because that lack of exposure, I know, is one of the common factors of them not being able to, because if they don't have anything, because we people, we like to mimic. We came from kingdoms that had queens and kings, control the
right.
whole. So we're still genetically made up like that. We seek those leaders, and we seek whatever they think we should have in our faces for its exposure and all of that. And they haven't done a good job. But at the same time, even these great people, I think they've been so busy being great that they didn't have time to raise nobody up and really get them to
Uh-huh.
say, hey, when I'm gone, this still needs to continue. But then again, at the same time, those same strives of theirs, do it need to continue, or does something else need to be reinvented? Because a lot of those people were original, and a lot of them didn't like copy anyone. They just became their creative selves
Sure.
and
Mhm.
individuals who they are. So what is lacking, do you think, that those individuals are not sprouting up to take the places of grace, whether they knew them or not?
I wrote a piece, a blog this morning talking about I salute you, Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey said something like, go Trump, you know what I'm saying? And almost ate him alive. But Malcolm X talked about celebrity worship. He's like, white folks don't use celebrities, when they talking about family business. Why are we? You know what I'm saying? So when you are so engulfed in your money and material things, it goes back to what I was saying just a few minutes ago. We've gotten away from community.
Mm-hmm.
We had community. So until our kids, this understand, me, myself generation, they can't fathom sharing anything. And how did we get from the boat to 2024 where you say you don't need nobody? I got that life. I don't need this. That's all we had was each other. And it wasn't seen as a negative. You know what I'm saying? Or something like you fail because you need, to partner with someone. No, that's what sustained us. It was the community.
Well,
So
I think that's because the normalcy of the community changed as well, and so
mhm,
that's not the normalcy of everybody pulling together. It's all more do and do for your own self, and when that's a kind of prideful thing. At the same time, I think a definitive where they're like, okay, well, I don't need you because I don't know you don't want to help me anyway. Honestly, like that's what I get from a lot of that is now they do need you. They just don't want you to know you need because of the way that help has come in the past and probably turned them away where they like, oh no, I don't need you. No, not if I got to be treated less than to be applied that I need you. So no, I'm good. That's what I've gotten a lot of, and so I'm just thinking about how do we infuse the creativity, just like our ancestors had, and to our successors, our future, which is people younger than us. Obviously, like I cannot believe that I'm about to hit 50. It's just in my carnal mind, it's just like wow, I still feel 25. Like I don't feel like I'm a few years less than a few years from 50. It's no way I've lived all this life. But then I think I'm like, oh, I got a clear
you
35, 40
have.
year memory. Like, whoa. Like there's a lot of memories in here. So yeah. So the reality is that I got the memories to show that I have lived all this life. And I'm actually happy about it because not everybody got a chance to be here at this age. I've had discussions with people, and they're not here now. And that brings me to the next person that I wanted to talk about. Oh my God, Charmaine Savage.
I knew it was coming. That's both of our girl.
Man,
For
I just have to a lot of times as I'm even doing this right now, I'm thinking about her in my ear. Like we had so many conversations. Like I just think about like today is a Sunday. We would be on the
real.
phone for 4 or 5 hours just talking out strategy. When I
Mhm.
say that nobody really could handle because I get overwhelmed. I ask some questions, right? But the
Right.
commander, but the commander had answers for
Okay.
me. The commander had strategies for me. Like it was just like, but the commander had a command for me all the time because I'm good at it now, but I wasn't in the past. Stay in
Mhm.
your lane. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Like, cause I'm like, oh, I can do it. I can do it. I do it. She's like, and just understand that I'm more effective in the lane that I'm in, and I had to learn really quickly that
Mhm.
there are lanes, and if I'm not in it, who's gonna manage it? But just think about the little seeds and everything that she deposited, in her
Yeah.
time here, even when she knew she was on borrowed time, she still continued to work and try to make a difference and leave a blueprint to continue to make a difference. So, she's one of the ones that I will never forget, that really impacted me in my life. I actually lost her and one of my closest friends like within the same week. Two people
Mhm.
that I can call and have all the conversations with, and that ain't a whole lot of people, believe it or not. It's not a lot of people I can pick up the phone and spend hours on the phone with and talk to, and they can actually handle my conversation. But
Right.
so instead of taking that as hard as I did, I basically thought about the two of them at that point, and that's when I was able to evolve in Savannah like I never did before, and just like what. I got their spirits in me
Uh-huh.
now at this point. I can't have the conversations directly. I can't make excuses of why I'm not doing this. I can't do that, all that, which they would always kind of cater. But at this point, I was like, okay, let me do what we talked about. And I did a lot of the things that I talked to Charmaine about in Savannah. That's why I'm excited to have my head right here in our area, in my home area now, to be able to try to do those same things, around all these name brand people that say that they doing it too,
Mhm.
but try to do it effectively. To end this, I just want to say, like, I had a conversation with a young man that I think he's doing great work, but what he's not hearing me, like they always think that when you're saying something to critique that they take it offensively, like, oh well, y'all don't see you, where you at, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine because I was there where you're at at another timeline, baby. We're not in the same time frame. So our roles changes sometimes. But what I'm trying to do is trying to just let you know that, because what he did was he posted a video and he
Uh-huh.
did a cleanup, which is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I respect all volunteerism. But it wasn't the community, it was people that came into the community to clean up the community. And what I told him was, I was like, eventually you're going to find out that effective organizing is not who you can bring into the community, is more about how you can create the buy-in of the community to do for themselves. Because what you'll find
Right.
is, even though you just did that, 3 weeks later all the work is going to be undone because the community is not going to keep it up because they didn't do it, bottom line. And I think he heard me, but it took a lot of other conversation to get to that point to hear me. And I'm all right with talking to the younger people about some things that I know older people spend time talking to me about. I don't mind the hard head. I just don't, it's just the ones that don't have an open mind or even want to listen is the ones that, I pray for, because there are a lot of those as well. But, we just got to keep on encouraging and sharing our seeds with people. And that's all that to say is that's what Charmaine did. She shared a lot of seeds. And with them seeds, grows a harvest at some point.
Yes,
At the same
ma'am.
time, them seeds keep reproducing if you plant them right. And
Yep.
so I'm hoping that I'm dropping enough seeds into people, because I meet young people all the time, and I give them a power filled 20-minute conversation. And I think it's because I'll see them sometimes later. I forgot I had the conversation, but they're telling me,
Right.
oh, I'm not
Right.
talking to that abusive boyfriend anymore. And I'm like, okay, good. I'm like, I don't
Woo!
remember having that conversation, but
Yeah.
yay for
Yeah.
you, because you heard me,
Uh-huh.
with me having a lot of life that I've lived. I've been able to give people a lot of, conversation. I won't call it advice, conversation around those life issues, and just
Uh-huh.
give them the points of where they should be, and not so much tell them what they should be doing. And it works, and it's more effective. And they figure it
Good.
out on their own. And they sometimes just need to vent and hear themselves and know, okay, well, I already know what to do. Because
Uh-huh.
that's what the bottom line comes to, is your own self reality
Mhm.
and you taking your own advice, because a lot of times you ain't listening to nobody else anyway.
Right.
So yeah, who come to your mind? Who else come to your mind?
Well, you took her from me, but hey, we on the same page.
Go
Uh,
ahead and talk about her.
Miss Charmaine Savage. Let me tell you, when I first met her, that I was a powerhouse at the school board meeting. So she came in and she just looked like she didn't belong. She looked like somebody that didn't have a kid in the district. And so I got up and I introduced myself. I introduced myself to her. Girl, I was ready to go in. She was like, nothing negative. I don't do negative. I'm like, well, oh well. Over time, she understood a little bit about me. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't one of these negative people. I'm one of these blunt people. That's the difference. But I'm telling you, because I'm in it, literally a teacher too, but as well as a parent. So over time, we got a little close. We started inboxing. I started inboxing. I was like, listen, hey, this school district, and just like you, she always remained like a calm, cool shoulder you can lean on. You know what I'm saying? And she never got riled up, because I was like, hey, but one thing I can do and say about her is the shade that she threw with I Am East St. Louis magazine. That was shade to me. Cause like everybody I'm gonna reach out to should be ashamed that our community is what it is. And I was like, oh, I love this shade. Because if you look at since day one, publication can change our community around
Mhm.
to make life better for our children.
Mhm.
Everybody in there that she's ever interviewed, but they choose not to. And it's taken me this long to uh roll into the next person, my husband. He said, you think people care about these kids like you? He said, people go to work to take care of their family. That's all.
Mhm.
But how you not care? I mean, that's our calling. That's what Christ told us to do.
Mm-hmm.
We supposed to. So I had a decision to make, and my husband, he Tarvin Randall, supported me to the end. Literally to the end. He supported me. Um, never said, well, he said one time, my family hurting because my wife won't, help. But then again, he gave me the nod. He said, "This is your calling," and he supported my calling. And it wasn't to put my family out there or on the back burner. This is ministry work, and it's for my family first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and it changed the way before he left her. It changed the way he viewed it. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
like I said, nothing like that nod. You doing what you called to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was the girl. That was the girl. But
Yeah.
to see, like you said, the investments, and you got to keep her in us that fire, because she had a fire. It was just with a pen.
Yeah, yeah. But she also had a mission that I think is still yet to be accomplished. And she shared a lot of the vision with me, and that's why we linked up so well, is because our visions were the same. Whereas I was on the bridge vision mission, she was on a rebranding mission, using bridging techniques to do it with, by being able to profile all of these people in this public magazine, to be able to say, look what we are, look who are we, all these seeds spread all across the world. Like, and I love that, because it's still yet so many stories to be told. And maybe, a lot of the people that have so far been in the magazine have come from kind of a similar collaboration, which is
Mhm.
from Lincoln School. A lot of those appear to be a lot of Lincoln people. Obviously, she
Right.
was from Lincoln or whatever, and that's good. And it's a start for us. But I know that we have a stronger finish, a more collaborated finish, to be able to help finish rebranding the city of East St. Louis through
Right.
whatever tools and mechanisms we choose to do from here on out. And just by the fact that both of us have been graced with her, we are somewhat of the successes where we have to continue to fight. We have to continue to work,
Mhm.
maybe not in the same way that she did it, because again, we all got our lanes. Thanks for her making me understand. So I
Right.
try to stay in that lane, but I do. I have her in my ear all the time, to where I'm thinking about all the things that she told me, because I used to think all the time, and I'm not one that usually get answers back from people, but she always had some answers for me, and I think about it. So when I'm going to that world of thinking, I'm like, oh, I think that's what she told me to do. Yeah. And so
Right.
I'm revisiting, because again, I have like memory loss somehow from, I guess, going through all the stuff I've been through over these couple decades, to be honest. And my brain has now had a time to rest and take in, but I go back into emails and other girl, like I changed phones and I'm looking at all type of stuff in my phones that I didn't even know was there. Like, it's just, I've left pieces of things that I was supposed to be finishing. And sometimes
Right.
I've realized that when you want to finish things, it's not always time to finish it right then and there. And sometimes you got to
Mhm.
just respect the prepping of everything. So I have
Right.
a lot of things prep that I'm like, oh wow, I'm more than ready now. At first I was scared
Mhm.
of things, but now it's just like, okay,
I
I've
believe.
I've kind of grown into things, and I'm like, okay, I can't say I'm not prepared anymore. Matter of fact, I don't even see nobody around to tell them that, because I should be at this point.
Right.
And so I'm more than ready to do what God wants me to do, willingly, and it's all for His glory. I'm not worried about the glory. I'm worried about living like everybody else is living, but I don't mind the sacrifices either, as I've sacrificed already. So what I
Right.
gotta lose at this point.
Exactly.
But just knowing that, but to bring it more personal, some people that's not with me, that have definitely helped shape who I am is my mama's sisters. Oh my God, all my mama's sisters are gone. My
Mhm.
aunties, you said I had an abundance of aunties, and I just think about each every last one of them. I had a genuine relationship with. Now she only has one sister left, and that's the one I'm named after. By the way, I mean we have the same middle names and
Oh,
stuff, and which makes it even better because my mama tell a story. She's like, "Well, I didn't name you after her." I said, "Well, who did?" My grandma named me after my auntie. I'm like, "Oh, that's even better because
right,
But overall, I miss my auntie so much. They all import different parts of wisdom in
right.
me. They were always people that I could go to and have our conversations because I'm just that person sometimes. When I do want to talk, I need hours because there's a lot of stuff on my mind
I need to
I need to
know.
get off right. And
Yeah.
so with that being said, they were definitely people that I could vent to privately, didn't have to worry about whatever I said going back and traveling
Mhm.
through wherever because we had our space right there when I was talking transparently to them and they was transparently talking back to me. And it was
Right.
just a great experience. So whoever don't have a TT, I feel bad for whoever don't have a TT.
Man, for real.
But I am all my TT successful.
Mhm.
I got a little bit of all of them up in me, and then I found out I got a little bit of my mama too.
Yeah, you a powerhouse.
But
Okay,
all
so
that to say, uh, no, go ahead.
now I was gonna say, in listening to you and the TTs, Brenda Bush comes to
Uh
mind.
oh.
Oh my
Okay.
God. Yeah, that was my girl. I met her in junior high school. And she was just a cool counselor. And looking back on it, I was like, I was really seeing a shrink. Because I could talk to her about anything, everything, and I mean anything. And she was always available. She was just as kind as she could ever be. And after school, high school, from mom passing, dad passing, children, she was there. She was like mom to me. And yesterday just buried Priscilla Holloway. Now this lady, she was bedridden for like 3 years, but when I tell you her mouth, she came from Arkansas. And I used to tease her, like, see, your family had to move up north because you was finna get them teeth pulled. Yeah, I throw the rock and I wasn't hiding my hand. I was standing right there. Yep. And you know it was her. And just a fireball of a woman who's bedridden but had a mouth off this world. Like, I wish they would. Baby, they giving you your medicine. She'd be like, I don't care. They're gonna know how I feel about them. Them. You hear me? You know what the them is, right?
Mhm.
So, like, you know, I feel them. I just want to make sure they don't give you the wrong medication. I don't care. And that's how I was seeing, honey. And I'm like, I mean, strong women like that. It's just
Mhm.
you can't help but just say, I got the torch now. I got the
Mhm.
torch. And I'm
Mhm.
carrying your legacy on. We didn't come from a weak group of women. We just did. And we look at it like it's something bad to be strong. To be in this great country that we built, you gotta be mentally strong. You
So
gotta
what
have a spine.
I was looking for you to talk about was who you wrote a book on.
Oh, okay. Well, wait. I thought you was going next.
Well, no, I'm done. We got 7 minutes.
Okay. The great, honorable
Okay.
representative, Wavetta Young. This woman right here. When I first met her, I was at a assembly at Lincoln Senior High School, and she walked in, and I turned around and asked one of the teachers, "Who is that homeless lady?" So even students looked at me like I was crazy. So me being me, I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? I just asked the question. They're like, you don't know who she is? I'm like, no, a homeless lady. Because that's what she looked like, right? She just looked like a homeless lady. It was like, that is Representative Wybetta Young. I think that's where my aha moment came from. Find out who your representatives is, how your community is ran, because I felt horrible. And after that, after graduating, I came home and I went across once again, clueless to how this whole politics stuff worked. I was like, I need a job. To her secretary, she was like, good. Do you feel like driving her to and from Springfield? I was like, sure. And I mean, it was just the most, kind of quiet because she really didn't say nothing. I was talking, but when I asked those questions, like, do you have any regrets? And her saying, if I could do it over, I wouldn't put the work of the people before my children.
Mm.
And then her I'm doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But I just think we all do this. But that woman of strength to stand up and fight for us and live amongst us, I'm like, that is what being a servant, true servant is all about. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to leave her one day. But she was just a quiet spirit. I think in that whole like year and a half, she probably laughed one time. She was just stoic, very stoic.
So,
But go ahead.
so basically, you're saying her advice was to have balance in your servitude and
Yes,
make
exactly.
sure that your family is not put behind the community.
Yeah.
Okay.
But how do you
Okay.
do it when everything, poverty and oppression and all these things that we are facing, it don't take a break.
It
So what
don't
it
take
look
a break, but remember about the lane thing and understanding that you only have a role in things. So therefore, even though there's a lot of stuff that can be done, you only can grab what you can do. And
like?
and so what I'm learning as it relates to volunteering time is I can't volunteer time I don't have that I have to steal from others who should have my time, and that's
Right,
children and all of that. So I understand that as well now. I mean, I wish I would have learned it a lot sooner, but
right,
even now, I've been stealing time for myself, to be honest. Like, if I want to
mhm,
say I'm stealing, and that means that I could have had probably given more volunteer time, but I needed more time to regenerate myself and be the
yeah,
full person that I haven't really seen in about a decade, to be honest, because
uh-huh,
I have been so entrenched with making a difference and making an impact and trying to complete this and that, or oh God, then pull me for one thing, now I'm at another thing, and it's been a lot that I never thought I would go through, and I have been through it. I'm here, I'm still standing, more
mhm,
prepared than ever. If I would have had conversations that we're having 10 years ago, they probably wouldn't have been the same conversations because I wouldn't have had the same experiences. I wouldn't have had the same knowledge. And so
right,
I'm appreciative of all of the things, but you just come to a point where you have to, take a break for self, because if you don't take a break for you, believe me, your body will take one for you.
yes, ma'am,
For real.
yes, ma'am,
And so just understanding that, I'm just delightful that we understand that our successors, they took breaks,
mhm,
they may have overworked, but they had to take breaks too. Otherwise you're not going to be able to continue, and
right,
so regardless of how much is going on, because guess what, when you dead and gone, it's still going to be going on because it's still going on and they dead and gone. So
something, my son said the same thing to me. Like, mama, if you die, it's still gonna be going on. I'm like, why would you think like that? Why would anybody say that? It's just dumb. But
okay,
like you said, they
well,
going on.
and we still fighting the fight. And
It's
I'm sorry
crazy.
that a lot of them say they already fought, but somehow we haven't won it because it's still going on. That makes no sense to me. And it's been like that my entire life, which now it's just
Because
that
I
more
think
people are talking about it.
they weren't genuine when they put that check on the table. That just goes sour. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So, like Muhammad Ali says, we're failing as a people because we're willing to do anything for money and nothing for our people.
Exactly.
For you
Exactly.
to get the check, because we got everything else.
Right. Right. And so it's just time for them to basically settle the
Yeah.
injustice. And
Like I
that's why
said,
we're, you there? Hello? Yeah.
yeah, you're here.
You froze up a little bit. I'm not sure if you're back yet, but I'm
I'm
just kind
here.
of I was wrapping up what you were saying. You know, it's a matter of now us for real settling everything that we say has been settled. It hasn't been settled
Yeah.
because now we're seeing the unsettlement come out, playing out in other ethnicities and nationalities that are trying to be a part of this country, but are being subjected to the same things that Black Americans have been subjected to the whole time. And it never has went away. It never got fixed. It's always been in place, but it's just been in place in our specific neighborhoods that I call franchise plantations of
Mm-hmm.
America to make sure it's stabilized in that same deficit and same state by not applying any economic resolutions to our communities. And now it's
Right.
time to be intentional about that with our community still in place and being able to fuel some economics in there so that our people can build that generational wealth that they haven't been able to build for so long in America, despite this being our native land at this point. We
Mm-hmm.
can trace our ancestry DNA back to Africa somewhere, but when it's all said and done, 400 plus years, we are a nationality of ourselves at this point in this land that is ours. Whether or not people say we were already here, that's to be debated. But what I do know is we do have documented over 400 plus years of our ancestry being on this land, going through the
Correct.
wars and fighting just like everyone else to be an American. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
proudly an American, but I want what's due to the Black American nation that has
Right.
not been given thus far. Yeah.
Amen. I
All
agree.
right. So that's our wrap. That's an hour that we did. Oh my God, this hour went by so quick. This was like we
Quickly.
had, I had fun and we could go on and on, but we're going to have another loaded subject. What's our subject next time?
Uh, we said we're going to focus on back to school.
Okay, back to school. All right, so we're gonna talk about some back to school. It might not be the back to school y'all thinking about, but you
That
know me
part.
and Marty, we coming loaded for you every time with a deep conversation. So stick with us. We
Okay.
got you. Until next time, have a
All
great
right.
day.
Bye.
All right.